Hey, what's going on, everybody? Got probably a quicker video here for you today. Um, a lot of times, at least here lately, I've been seeing a lot of things about gain staging and who's right, who's wrong, who knows how to do it properly. Some people saying that they don't do it at all. And I think that's funny because if you're not doing it in the mixing stage, then great, because it was recorded properly. So kudos to those people who always get a properly recorded session. But for a lot of us who are doing maybe mixing as our own business, we're doing freelance work, and we're getting a lot of home studio stuff, like myself, and or just getting tracks from people to go over them in our mix assessments. Which, by the way, if you are a member of Sonic Philosophy, you can actually send me your mixes and I can go over them with you with a very detailed video just like this, or I go over everything, answer all your questions, and then send that back to you. And then we can discuss some of the things that might need to be done or some of the things that you've really done well. And so if you join the Sonic Philosophy membership, we've got two tiers that offer that. One gets you one mix assessment each month, and then the other tier will get you two. So if you are maybe making an album and you want someone to go over your mixes who has quite a bit of experience doing that, then go ahead, sign up, and we'll get you all set up and have you the best sounding mixes that you can possibly get. All right, with that being said, gain staging. So here are some tracks. And I'm just going to play them. Absolutely nothing is on here. This isn't even through my template. I'm going to demonstrate this without the template just to show you kind of my first stage, right? This would be my first stage in a mixing session where I would open up the tracks, especially in a Pro Tools session. Now, sometimes other DAWs, I'll do a little bit different route because some of those you can start with your mixing template right there. But for right now, this is how I like to do it in Pro Tools. So I've imported all of these tracks in this session, got them color coded just so I can have a visual here. And everything has not been moved. None of the gain has been moved. Everything is just how it was sent. So let's just take a listen real quick to what that sounds like, and then just pay attention down here at the faders.
Been gone for so long, I had to be so strong. Sometimes I find just don't know which way to go.
All right, so if you've noticed anything here, I hope you've noticed that the audio level, the recorded audio level, one thing that you've got to keep in mind is that if you are recording on your own and you want to send these tracks to someone else to mix, make sure that when you record, you have all your faders at unity, right? We need that at 0 when you're recording. That way, when I open up a session, I can have them all at 0, and then I know the actual recorded level there. It's not the tracks that were bounced out. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you are recording, especially in a home studio environment, and even if you're, at a big commercial analog gear, all that stuff, it's still, unless you're going directly to tape and then you're going to pull that back up on the analog console to mix. This doesn't apply, obviously, but 99% of the time, you're going to have to convert that analog sound to digital at some point. Your tape machine is Pro Tools here. It's also your mixing console. So your converters, like you have at your home studio, your interface has A to D, D to A converters, analog to digital, digital to analog. The majority of those things, your interfaces, your converters, have what we like to call a sweet spot to record a proper level with proper, noise level, all of that stuff is around -18. In fact, I love the number -18 because most of the interfaces and plugins That is their sweet spot. That is where they are tested as their optimal level of performance. I'm looking for about -18 when I record everything. So if this was recorded properly, then those should have been around -18 when our faders are at unity, at 0. Okay? So I'm not seeing that on here. The vocal was pretty good. Vocal was hitting like right on the mark. Bass was probably there too. Probably won't have to tweak that as much. Everything else was a little low. So we're going to have to adjust that. I want to keep all of these at 0, and I'm just going to focus on the actual audio level. And the way that we do that in Pro Tools, which I actually like Pro Tools feature for this the best, because I can bring up these little lines right here. And I don't know what the proper name for them is. I just call them gain lines. And so I'm just going to go through and look at them and see where I need to adjust those. So what we can do, or what I like to do with this one, is bring this up so that I can see my levels as I'm adjusting this. So we'll just take a look and play here. And also, I will say this, that as far as the -18 thing is, we can be within a plus or -2 on, so either way, right? We can go up to 16, we can go down to 20. What I like about Pro Tools is like you've got like the dark green, the light green, and then like yellow and then red. So when I'm just seeing that brighter green, that's when I know, at least in Pro Tools, that that's a proper gain. You can find out those little things in your own DAW if you aren't using Pro Tools. So you can just kind of see what's happening visually. So you can just know what to look for when you're hitting the right amount, and just makes it a lot easier. Makes it a lot quicker to go through all these.
Down like a river to the sea. You remember when blue trees were bare, when time began, the stars were falling, we stand to meet the dawn.
You know what? Just by adjusting the kick and the snare top, it already sounds so much fuller.
Down like a river to the sea. You remember when blue trees were bare, when time began, the stars were falling, we stand to meet the dawn. Too proud to see your love has set me free. How could this be so painful for you, babe? Yeah, come and rescue me. Come rescue me. I'm falling fast and free.
All right, so you get the idea. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit and go through everything. One thing that I will add here is that, so everything's recorded live, and I love bleed, especially when it comes to things like drums. You know, this is tom 1 and tom 2, and you can tell where the toms are hit. So that's the only part that I'm going to turn up, okay? So what's cool in Pro Tools is I can just zoom in here, and I can see where those toms are hit. So I'm just going to like select that, and that's what I'm going to adjust, okay? So I don't need to adjust all the bleed here. Everything else that hits pretty often is okay, because I would never just go in here and raise up like just the hits. That would sound really weird and take a really long time. So that's just one thing that I'll say about when you're adjusting these things, because I just want the hits to be adjusted. So that's what I'm going to do. That one actually was just a little high, I think. Sounds pretty good. Okay, we'll just do this real fast now. And then one thing I will add here, in finding out that this chamber track here is for the drums. It's for more of a chamber sound, like your room sound, you know. So that's an effect. And so I'm not really worried about the mic level. It did need to come up, obviously. But as far as getting that up really high, like I don't need that because it's something that you blend in. And so this is gonna be pulled down anyways. So I'm just getting that to be like a good level to where I can blend it in and actually make a difference. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessarily like a recorded source. You're recording a room.
Come rescue me. I'm falling fast and free. Come rescue me. I'm falling fast and free.
And just pulling up those vocals like that, man, it just sounds so much better. You can actually hear them working together as background harmonies, all that stuff. And it's just from pulling up the levels here. If you're in Pro Tools and you think that looks like it's too it's probably just because you're just the waveform is a little high up. So yeah, you can make that this small, small, small. I like to have just a little bit of medium like that. But yeah, and also just like those toms, if you are recording live, like this seems to be, you're gonna have mic bleed, and so like all of these parts, it's just the instrument bleed. Looks like it was pulled down a little bit, cleaned up maybe a little bit, but this one's right next to everything. Maybe it was the drummer doing some background vocals, but yeah, I love it. I will don't ever clean that stuff up unless there's just a mistake in there. Like there's just a bad like a mistake that's jarring and messes up everything. Don't worry about cleaning this stuff up. Like really don't. I mean, if it's a live recording, don't. That's not to say that, very pop, very polished, very like on the grid to the dot. Like maybe not, but none of that stuff's being recorded live anyways. And so just pull up the parts where they're singing. Don't worry about the bleed because that's just going to bring up noise. And we don't want that. So I think this is a pretty good place to start the mix. We can go back in here and you can kind of see all the levels. If you see like some things that don't quite hit that area, that's okay. Because we just want maybe like the more consistent, kind of the average setting on that. So yeah, let's just take a listen here. The toms aren't going to be hitting. I actually am going to pull that bass up a little bit because I feel like it's a little bit buried now. That sounds great. But yeah, so that is how you go about really properly gain staging things. It's not rocket science. It's not like a complicated theory. It's just common sense. If you're getting tracks that are properly recorded, you don't really have to fool with this. So whenever you hear people who are like, I don't even gain stage, blah, blah, that is wonderful. That's wonderful that you don't have to do that. But a lot of times, when we're not the ones recording the songs or that they weren't done properly, whether, it's just an amateur mistake or you actually just, so you may have gone in and like done a little bit of mixing, right? And when you adjust all these and you bounce that out, you're bouncing out the output of the tracks. And so this is an output fader. And so you're going to be sending the levels like this. So just keep that in mind. When you're bouncing things out for someone else to mix, just make sure everything is at 0 like you recorded it. And hopefully you recorded that at a proper gain level, and then you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But yeah, so with that being said, like this is where I would start to add my template and connect it, merge it, and start mixing. And if that is something that you're interested in watching, go ahead, become a member of Sonic Philosophy. I do a couple of start to finish mixes each month. The members get inputs on what type of song, what genre of song we do. You can sign up for free. There's a ton of free guides. I got some drum samples, some real actual drum samples on there. And yeah, we've got tons of discussions on the music industry, the business side of it as well. A lot of these inside things that just is a better platform to have conversation about it instead of a quick video like this that is just does a little bit better on YouTube. So it's also a way that you can communicate with other members, and I just really think that it's just an all in one, all exclusive premium quality stuff that you're going to get from people that are in the music industry. Like I do this for a living. So, anyways, with that being said, friends, go ahead, get your free guides. I've got the link down there in the description, but also would love to see you become a member of the Sonic Philosophy. A lot of cool things are happening in there these days. And yeah, you get input on that. You can give your input on what you want to see, what kind of content you want to get out of it, what kind of education you want if you're starting a career in music, whether you're an artist or you want to be in the business. Like we have all kinds of discussions and I want to keep that going. So anyways, thanks so much for checking out this video and I'll see you all in the club.